On this episode of Redlit, 14 people, including me, walk out in protest. Manager tries to steal my sale, so I let him fire me cause I was sick. Have fun making minimum wage. 14 people, including me, walk out in protest. So, Friday the 13th happened. It was glorious for all intents and purposes. I run day-to-day operations for a decent-sized company. We have a president who runs the company in-house. He can be tedious, overwhelming, and an all-around dick sometimes. Other times, he can be cool as can be. This was one of the times he was an overbearing, micromanaging dickbag. As shop foreman, I take my job seriously with morale. If my guys aren't happy, good product isn't produced. If good product isn't produced, customers aren't happy. Looking towards quality control. It doesn't help when guys are overworked, underpaid, and underappreciated. Friday was one of those days that started out well, but by 6:40 a.m., it had deteriorated to shit. Note: we officially don't start work until 7 a.m. this year. After the start, it was bitch about this, micromanage that, several people being cussed at and belittled. Everyone had had enough. Once in our programming office, the idea was floated by someone that we should walk out. He can't fire us all. Now, we've all joked about this time after time, but it's never been more than a thought. We grit our teeth and bear it. That day was something different. After getting yelled at again for something out of my control, I finally said fuck it. When someone asked if I was in and serious, I said yes. Then, it snowballed from there. A total of 20 were supposed to walk out, but due to cold feet, and a few taking a shit, only 14 made it. At 10 a.m., we made our move. I told everyone to wait until he would be distracted with a machine and we'd all clock out and leave. We all waited. When he was distracted, I gave the round-up signal, and everyone left. A few stopped for beer to relax. We weren't intending on going back to negotiate until Monday. We all met at a guy's house and discussed why we walked, what we wanted, and what our terms were. One thing was very clear. We all came back or no one did. After talking for 2.5 hours and coming to our terms, we decided to head back after a text from him assured we were going to corner him. We were going to talk it straight, or we weren't working anymore. The talk lasted almost 2 hours, with both parties flexing their given muscles at some point. But one thing was made clear. Things were going to change, or we'd all go look for new jobs. After several people were threatened with being fired, and none being let go, we came to terms that benefited us. For once, our workplace had so much morale. People were excited to work again. We went back to work with a purpose, agenda, and pride. This is the first Monday I've looked forward to work in a year. Even the guys who couldn't come, the people in the main office, we stirred the pot. We've made it known, we're not going to go through this anymore. I'll vouch for any of my men, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Manager tries to steal my sale, so I let him. This is a bit of a long post, but stick with me until the end, it's worth it. Background: I work at a pretty high-end music store specializing in classical instruments. My manager is pretty much the definition of an asshole. He's racist, sexist, homophobic, steals sales and is just generally rude. We've had multiple problems with him, from unwanted touching of female staff, shoulder touching, unwanted massages, and a few ass grabs, to one of our employees from China resigning because they just couldn't take his abuse. I've stuck it around because, well, the job pays well. Anyway, my biggest problem with him is that he steals my sales all the damn time. I will be just about to close a sale, and he will swoop in and tell me something needs doing and then proceeded to finish the sale, take the money. There's really nothing I can do about it because, well, he's the manager. Anyway, one day he goes on holiday for 2 weeks. The best damn 2 weeks of my life. And this old woman comes in. She's just moved to the town and is the definition of a time waster. and a rude one at that. She complains about absolutely everything. Nothing is up to standard. The strings are out of tune, blah blah blah. I spend an hour just copying abuse from her over how bad our violins are. She ends the conversation by saying she will be back with her granddaughter to try them out. Okay lady, see you then. Anyway, skip forward a week and the manager is back. The day after he gets back, I see this old woman walking towards our store with her granddaughter. And I immediately form a plan. I grab my manager's attention and point to her walking towards the store. I tell him that she was in last week and that she was looking at a very expensive violin and I was sure she was going to get it today. She walks in and I say hello. Of course my manager chimes in right after I say this, informing the woman that I had other business to attend to and that he would be taking care of her. He looks at me and says, if that's all right with you, as he always does. I tell him it's absolutely no problem at all and tell the woman my manager will take very good care of her. I spend the next 2 hours just listening to my manager cop screaming and abuse from this woman. It was amazing. He comes back to the front and tells me to go and serve her. I look at him and say, you always want my sales. Here you go. The look he gave me was amazing. She left without buying anything and he's been making my life a living hell ever since, but honestly, worth it. Fire me cause I was sick. Have fun making minimum wage. This took place a couple years back and one of my old co-workers said I should post it here. Obligatory grammar warning along with the fact I'm on mobile with a messed up screen. So this happened during the beginning of my senior year of high school. I was balancing out football, school and work. I worked at a convenience store chain that's only around in my region of the country, USA. I had an incompetent store manager. She was lazy, never wanted to do work, and all the store associates, including assistant manager, were always stuck cleaning up her mess. She took 2-hour lunches and always thought it was appropriate to leave her shift early. For some reason, and I'll never understand why, but she did not like me for whatever reason. A good example was her writing me for using my cell phone on the floor, when it was my mother calling me asking when to pick me up. Didn't have my license when this was going on. Or the time she gave me shit for not fully stocking the fridge. Now she came in early in the morning and I would usually come in at the end of her shift because I had school and football practice. Then there was night shift after me. She would come in the morning and see the fridge not fully stocked. This is just an example of how much of an idiot she really was in. How she should be giving the night shift guys write-ups for that, but no, I was her main target. Now I had gotten very sick one weekend and had called into work that I couldn't come in that day. None of the managers or assistant managers were in, so the team lead took my message. Looking back at it, I should blame him more than my idiot manager. I assume he never told the managers I was out because come the next week I had a football game on Saturday and I usually work Saturdays, and when I had gotten that job earlier that year I gave her my football schedule so she wouldn't put me on for that day. My boss calls me Friday night telling me I need to come into work Saturday because I missed work the previous week, and no call no show is automatic termination. I told her I did call in, but she didn't believe me, so instead of her telling me I was fired, I said I quit right there on the phone. So I guess she didn't fire me but fired me. I don't know. Now to the revenge. I already had plans to get her fired or demoted. Either one would have made me happy. Over the course of that month prior to my departure, I had taken video and pictures of how bad she had that store running. By the time I had gotten to my shift, I had taken picture of filthy floors and bathrooms, flies all around the food assembly area, associates on their phone, even the manager herself playing games or whatever right on the floor. Basically showing how she kept her store wrecked during her shift and I was left to clean up the rest. I ended up sending this all the way up to our regional manager. She was banging our district manager. If I sent it to him, it would have gotten buried. and I got a response back that the situation would be handled accordingly. District manager ended up getting fired due to incompetence, and he was also under fire initially for sexual assault allegations from other store workers, and my store manager demoted all the way down to a basic store associate. The icing on the cake was a year later, after I got fired. I was working at a warehouse that year after I graduated, making almost $20 per hour. There was another one of the convenience stores right down the road from my building. I ended up going there for lunch only to see my old boss getting reamed out by that store's manager. So with the knowledge that I was making almost 3 times her hourly wage, store associates only made $8.35 per hour, and she was still incompetent at her job. It made me quite happy. TL. Doctor. Incompetent manager fires me for calling out sick previous week. I get her demoted along with the district manager being fired.